Hello, I'm Jose, and this is the Cinematic Dogma podcast. I'm joined, as every week, by my, don't over-index on this, my favorite friend. Good.
I'll take it. Happy New Year to me.
Blake. How are you doing, Blake?
Thanks, Jose. I'm glad to be here. I'm very excited about today's episode, which is a new format.
Oh yeah. We want to try like something different, It's a new year, new us. New us, no ASS, but US. And yeah, it's true. We have a new US too, but that's a different topic. Let's just leave it, to another conversation. But yeah, this time what we want to do is start the year doing a look back to 2024 and discuss what were our 5 favorite movies that they were released in 2024. And I want to highlight favorite. Doesn't mean like the best. It only means that we enjoyed watching and we think that they have like a bit of a lasting power, or at least like associated conversation with them.
Yeah, so we had very little standardized direction for each other on how to choose these things. This is just films that came out in 2024. How do we feel about them now at the beginning of January in 2025? And that's it, right? There was no... I also want to underscore these are not the best films. At least the ones I picked are not the best films. They're the ones that I'm still thinking about in some capacity in the next year.
Yep, yeah, I think that that's a good way of putting it. Now, one interesting thing is that we may have not recorded about all of these films. So we may surprise each other with some left field picks, at least on my side. But at least we'll discuss a tiny bit. If we actually selected anything, like both of us, is that we can just like combine them.
Okay.
There may be one, I think, that we both may have selected. And yeah, this is like the part 1 of 2. We could do like another episode, but just based on our top favorite 5 movies that we watched in 2024 that they were not released last year.
Necessarily. They could have been.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Cool. Okay, so what about if I start with one?
Yeah, let's just take turns. Throw one out. Let's talk about
it. So my first one is La Chimera.
Cool, Jose, cool. I'll let you chime in, but as I went through the list after list of the best films that came out, La Chimera was at the top of most people's lists, and I really had to wrestle with myself, am I going to include this? But I so firmly, clearly remember how I felt about that film that it's not on.
I know.
So go ahead, Jose. Tell us why you picked that.
Well, I picked that because I honestly enjoyed it a lot. I tend to have a bit of a hard time with more poetic movies, like the ones that they try to use the medium as a bit of a metaphor for feelings, or a bit more about higher expression. But I don't know why this one, it actually clicked with me. It reminded me a bit of, you remember Long Day's Journey into Night?
Yes.
That it had that the second part of the movie is what the fuck is happening, but I cannot pull my eyes away of this because artistically it's amazing. I feel a bit like that I feel it's okay, this actually clicks, is this metaphor about the love that he lost and everything in between and being an alien here, and also the people almost represent European countries. I felt somehow that this was way better than I was expecting it to be. And also it had a bit of a staying power, because when I was watching it and we finished watching it, I told my boyfriend that I don't know how Blake is going to feel, but I had the feeling that he's going to hate it.
And I was right. You were right, and I don't necessarily have a hard time with films that are more poetic or they kind of go off into surrealism because it's, part of that metaphor. Sidetrack, what was the sad gay movie of 2024?
All of Us Strangers.
Yes. Did that come out at the same time as La Chimera?
Like a bit week before, week after. Yeah, we went to watch it like back to back. Yeah.
So I think that I was so pissed off at that film, which was also a metaphor. You didn't really know what was real, what was part of a dream, what was fantasy, that I think I had zero tolerance for this film when it came along.
Dude, I already gave my poetic energy to this other movie. I'm tired of this.
And it abused me. No, I mean, it's an interesting film. I enjoyed it, and something you and I say in almost every podcast episode is, even if we didn't like it, it's still more interesting than most things in theaters, and I would say that's true about La Chimera. It's not my cup of tea, but it was interesting.
Yeah, and also I like seeing Monica Bellucci like just treating like this stranger like in a more loving way than her own child.
I know you think that all Italians look alike, but that was Isabella Rossellini.
Oh, dude, sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, I mixed them up. I saw her like recently. Okay, we saw it in another movie like recently, and I also was like, wait, what's this Monica Bellucci, Isabella Rossellini? Yeah, sorry.
I only remember that specifically because all I could hear was her Blue Velvet scenes every time she was on the screen in La Chimera.
Okay. You're absolutely right. It's Isabella Rossellini.
You fact-checked me? You think I misremember Isabella Rossellini? She's like one of 5 women that taught me I could be straight. Maybe. Maybe,
if I really tried. No, we actually saw Monica Bellucci recently in Beetlejuice, and I was like, "Wait, what's this? I know this woman. Is it Isabella Rossellini?" And my boyfriend was like, "No, it's not. It's the woman from Irreversible."
Monica Bellucci is the star of The Matrix 2. That's what she got famous from, right?
The star is the star. Okay, let's go back to topic. Otherwise, this episode is going to last 2 hours.
I respect your choice. I think it's a good, interesting choice. If somebody said, tell me the things I should see from 2024, I would say this film, even though it's not my favorite.
Yeah, I think that it has like a good... And going to one question that we wanted to answer is that because we have a bit of a recency bias here, is that it has been in the last 12 months. It's not like... When we talk in the next episode about like movies that maybe they were released like 20 years ago. So... Or more. But in this case, it's like one thing that I wonder is like if it will have a staying power, you know, it's like if this is going to be like something that in 10 years you can rewatch it and people are going to be like, oh yeah, this is still poetic and the likes. I think that for this one, this is definitely yes.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, it almost feels like a movie shot in the 70s, but at the same time it feels modern. It feels like very appropriate right now and very like well made. So I think that this is a movie that will deserve to be revisited like in 10 years.
And we have to get through 10 films, so we're not going to answer the questions. But I will say that La Chimera feels extremely timeless, like completely timeless.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we had like another question. I don't know if you want to do like this bonus question, if we will adapt it to any other medium.
We can answer that question. I don't want to spend any more time in that world. No, thank you.
I think that is fine. Probably we can actually like just skip as we have like 10 movies.
Yeah.
It's like maybe for this one, it's like let's just go into resist the pass of time. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce one of mine.
Hit me.
Yeah. And I will only preface this one more time. I am shocked at the 5 films I picked, and I'm disappointed in myself, but it's honest. So I'm just going to throw one out there. Conclave.
I also pick it up.
You did? Because we kind of felt like mediocre when we saw it, but as I was thinking like the interesting films of 2024, I was like, no, this is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, what I pick it up, and I was talking with my boyfriend a moment ago about like, hey, this is going to be my list, and I picked Conclave, and he was like, but you were not super excited. It's like, no, but it's super incredibly well crafted.
Yeah.
It's like, it's perfect. It's a bit like the kind of, hey, you watch this in cinema studies, and it's like, I wouldn't be able to poke significant holes anywhere. It's like, it's so rounded, so like well crafted that I feel like, oh, I wish that there was more cinema like this.
I think it was incredibly well done. And honestly, I wish I had time to go back and listen to our podcast to remind myself how I felt about it, because I know I had some specific complaints, but overall, I can't stop thinking about
the ending. You had complaints about the ending.
Actually, I kind of forgot about the ending until just the second when you brought it up. But like the peek into that world and about how politics affects religion and religion affects politics and what it all means, and just like the chance that's involved with leading the most that's ethnocentrism, one of the most powerful churches in the world. And like it, it's just a bunch of dudes getting together in a room and being a little bit anyway. And Ralph Fiennes is incredible. It's just an interesting movie. So
yeah. And I think that it also like just captures like the joy of going to the cinema and just having like a story, like beginning, end, and it's entertaining. Is that it has like the perfect pace. It actually respects the audience, not treating you in any kind of disrespectful manner. It's like it respects your time. You see this story, you get like all of the ups and downs of this roller coaster, and you had a great time.
Yeah,
I know that it's a bit stupid, but it's when we think about like a good time nowadays, it tends to be like one of these superheroes movies with a lot of CGI and a lot of mindless kind of thing. Is like, no, this is a good time that it requires from you just a tiny bit of attention. And I wish that the cinema shifted more and more towards this.
And I think Conclave for me is a very good example about how time is the true test of how I feel about something. Like I experienced this at festivals where there's kind of this like glow up, like everything seems cool because it's at a festival, and then you realize it's not good. I think I had complaints about Conclave that now I wouldn't have, because it's like, oh, I see the place this has in film history. Sounds a little grandiose in my film experience in 2024, and I really appreciated it. So well done, Edward Berger.
Yep.
That's his name, right?
Do you think... Oh, you mean like the director? Is
Yeah.
like this German guy
Edward
that I
Berger.
always
Yeah,
forget.
yeah.
Okay.
He did the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah. So do you think that these will survive the passage of time?
I really do.
Because right now we're saying...
Yeah.
Right now we are saying that it's like for 2024 is that this was super enjoyable and super entertaining. I hope that in 10 years it will still be like that. But I had the feeling that if this had been released in 2000, it would have been like also super enjoyable and super entertaining.
I agree that it will always be enjoyable and entertaining, but I don't think this is enough of a film to survive the test of time as like an important film. So like in 10 years, I'm not sure if people are going to be like the way I remember Eyes Wide Shut. Nobody's going to remember Conclave in that way.
No, that's fair. So no. Yeah. Probably this one remember. Yeah, no, that's fair. Do you want to pick one more?
I really do, because I want to watch your face. Let's get through the nasty one. Civil War by Alex Garland. Okay. And for anybody who is not overly familiar with the podcast, Jose loves to hate Alex Garland. I love to hate him, but I also love to love him in a lot of ways.
I could say that I love to hate Aaron Sorkin. I just hate Alex Garland. But for some weird reason, I end up watching all his crap.
That's true. Because what he tries is interesting. For you, ultimately, they're failures. But at least it's an attempt at something interesting. But I remember our conversation about Civil War very clearly. It's a series of vignettes. The overarching story isn't that clear. For me, it wasn't important, but I really enjoyed just seeing these really intimate, authentic moments in the middle of a civil war that were just about experiencing something, not necessarily about a big story. I found Kirsten Dunst incredible. I think that's kind of our big introduction to Jesse Plemons. I mean, he had done stuff like Power of the Dog. It's not
Friday Night Lights.
No. It's not that he hasn't been in stuff, but I think that's the moment for me. I was like, Jesus Christ, this dude is the future
this guy's good.
of acting.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated this film. I think it's a good film. I won't apologize for it. I know you feel differently, but I enjoyed it.
It's completely fine. For me, definitely it's a movie that my brain is blocked. You know, I wish, and you're right, is that I always wish with Alex Garland that he was better. You know, it's almost like this kind of, if you had like kids, and it's that you always are like just pushing one of yours about like, hey, you're almost great, you have the potential for being great, you have the materials and the tools for being great, and then you fuck it up every time. It's like when you're like about to cross the finish line, you know, like these golden retrievers that they have like a very short attention span. that they can be like just pretty good and then just like, whoa, they just go like running like crazy. That's the feeling that I have with Alex Garland. That is like, hey, you have like this beautiful fur and body, like prepare like, you know, like over generations for just like being like the master race of dogs, and then you're dumb as a rock. When you had to put everything together.
Completely forgot that he wrote and directed Men.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, he did. Yeah. And there was like another one that we felt is a dude towards the end when he feels like so grandiose. It just, he cannot stick the landing on anything. It's like it gets like it gets like completely out of hand.
Well, we can't talk too much about this. I loved Annihilation. I loved the ending. I don't care. It was better than the book.
It does not say much, but okay, is that maybe we should rewatch it at some point. Now, what I would say is Annihilation has the same thing as Civil War. Is like if you only look at the specific scenes, this guy knows how to craft some amazing tension in his movies. Incredible. Is the very scene Annihilation here, the one with Jesse Plemons, is this is incredible. But then you actually surround it like with the stuff that is dude, this doesn't come together properly.
And just from a curiosity perspective, I appreciate very much that I actually discovered Alex Garland as a novelist. I read a book of his first. Then he became a writer for multiple movies that became relatively successful, like The Beach. And then he became a director, and I find watching that evolution of somebody's career super interesting. So maybe it's more a curiosity thing from my perspective, but Civil War, best of 2024.
Favorites of
2024.
So, do you think that this movie will stand the passage of time?
That's a tough question. So many of his films rarely do. I would guess this has a better chance of living longer than the rest of his films. I don't think it's going to be like in 25 years, people are like, did you see what Alex Garland was doing in the 2020s? That's not going to happen. But I do think this will stand the test of time somewhat.
Okay, no, that's fair. So let me just put one out there. You didn't watch this one. I only watched it while we were in Spain. I went to the cinema several times. I'm not going to pick the one that you are thinking. But I'm going to be like picking a Spanish thriller that I went to watch. It's called Undercover. I'm not sure if it has been released in the States or not, if there is any way of getting to watch it. The reason why I'm picking it up, and it's a bit more of a commentary about Spanish cinema in the last 20 years, more than anything else, is that it's a thriller about an undercover policewoman that basically she goes infiltrated into the terrorist band ETA. And she basically like forfeits all of her identity. She doesn't have like any connection with her life. Because during that time, and this is based in a real story, this is something that happened, is that people were trying to infiltrate this terrorist band and just dismantling from inside. But when they found like these moles, they would get executed. So this woman knows like the risk that she's exposing herself, and it follows like her life over the span of 7 years. And how like towards like the end of the military band, of this terrorist band, when they're like demilitarizing themselves, is the how she's trying to reform, how the band is trying to reform, and how she plays a pivotal role into preventing that. The reason why I pick it up is because it's a super well-crafted thriller, similar to Conclave, that I feel is like, hey, I cannot easily poke holes here. Is that this is an enjoyable story that it was like just glued to my seat about like, oh my god, what is going to happen? They're going to be like getting them. They even like played some of the classic scenes, so it's like, oh, they're coming back, they're going to capture them. It's like, no, they're not. But it actually is like so well crafted with all of these classic elements that I felt like pretty impressed about it. And the reflection about the 20 last years of cinema in Spain is the cinema in Spain in the last 20 years, they have been copying more and more the Hollywood thriller format. They started like, I don't know if I was this one, like Cell 211, that it was 2009. Yeah, 2009. And the critique back then, it was like, hey, this is like a Hollywood movie. It's like, you guys are copying the same cinematography, the same style, the same narrative. It feels like a Hollywood movie. It doesn't feel like a Spanish movie. I had the feeling that they have been perfected it so much that now they can tell authentic Spanish stories through this lens of the Hollywood cinema making. And I'm pretty surprised. Yeah. I'm super surprised. I don't see this like with Asghar Farhadi, for example. I don't see like Iranian cinema that is like trying to copy like this format.
I mean, I can't comment anything about this film because I haven't seen it, but I did hook up with you right after you saw it, and you were like, oh, this is pretty good. And you actually, the way you described it, and we were not reviewing this film, you made me want to go see it. Yeah. And I asked probably the dumbest question that I asked in Spain. I was like, well, where can I watch it with English subtitles? That haunts my dreams, by the way.
Sorry, man. But I mean, you understand 60% of Spanish, so maybe that's enough.
60% of small talk, so screw you.
Well, they do a bit of a small talk, then they do like a bit more sophisticated talk, but you know. Yeah, but the thing is, right now it's nominated to the Goya, that there is always like this joke that is like, oh, it's like the Oscars, but for Spanish cinema. So if it wins like best film, is like it may have like a chance of just coming out of the country, and maybe they're receiving like some international distribution because it has a Wikipedia page. So
yeah, I was actually just looking at it. Interesting.
Yeah. So maybe there is a chance of this like coming out in the States, and I would recommend you. It's like I don't tell you that it's like, oh my god, this is going to change your life. But it's like Conclave. That is like in a time that you don't know you're going to even watch an okay movie in the cinema. Is that these are properly crafted. It's like the people that they're doing this, they know what they are doing, and they can keep you entertained with quality stuff.
All right, I'll put it on my to be watched list.
Yeah, and if I think that it will pass or survive the passage of time, I don't think so. Similar to Conclave, the story is actually based in the 80s. It takes place in the 90s. But I think that it's a bit more of an entertainment that you will get the same value, but people are not going to be like remembering too much about it. It's just like, oh, it was good. If you fall into it again, it's like, oh yeah, this was good. But it's not like grandiose.
Well, let's see. I'm sure it's going to pop up on Netflix, one of the streaming platforms at some point in the next couple months.
Probably. Yeah. Right, so this was my third one as we were over Conclave. So which is your next movie?
I'm going to go with The Substance with Demi Moore.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. When I was like reviewing the list, I was debating, is like, should I pick these?
Again, I wish that I could go back and listen to the podcast to remember how I felt. I do think it's pretty freaking original. I know that you and I went through maybe a month, 2 months of a phase of body horror where we watched a lot of Cronenberg. So I felt like I was really appreciating like body horror. The whole Demi Moore is, I don't know, not aging. She's clearly made a deal with the devil, and like the way that it was so apropos for her career and where she's at, and younger generations replacing it. I mean, it's not a perfect film in the slightest, but I don't think anybody that's gone to see a good representation of what was offered in films in 2024, there's no way you can say that's not memorable. And there's no way you can say that the performances weren't good, that the direction wasn't completely assured. Sure, the overall product might not have been, outstanding, but it definitely stands out to me as one of the films in 2024 I won't forget. And I would actually be very interested. This kind of was interesting to me. I would like to rewatch The Substance. And I don't think I felt that way when we recorded about it immediately after watching it. And now I'm like, I think there's something there that I would like to try and go back and visit. And I know that I'm biased because I have a hard-on for Stanley Kubrick, and there were so many nods to Stanley Kubrick in that film.
Oh, yeah.
I would almost just watch it to find the Easter eggs. So...
Yeah, that's true that we didn't even comment like the part about Kubrick, like the wall-to-wall carpet that they had that is like, dude, this is deciding.
The elevators, the blood, yep.
Yep. Yeah, and homage to others, like Psycho, like the scenes in the shower that they had in the bathroom when she falls to the ground. He's like, yeah, I mean, clearly, like the director is that she really likes classical cinema and she uses it as a bit more of a vehicle. And all of the body horror is part of homage to Cronenberg, Yeah. So I just felt like I was pretty harsh with this movie because I wanted to be more important than it actually is.
That's a good way to describe it, because I don't think it's an important film at all. It's just kind of a standout for me.
Okay, that's fair. So do you think that it will survive the passage of time?
No. I think this is firmly rooted in 2024 and like identity politics and honestly in Demi Moore's career, where she still looks young but Bruce Willis is dying in a home. Like there's just a lot around this that really made me think about things.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. Cool. Okay, so should I pick my next one?
Please do.
So there is a bit of recency bias, and there is also the gay car game here, but I'm going to pick Wicked Part 1.
I can't blame you for that. I mean, it's a good movie.
Oh, did you watch it at the end?
Weekend
No, Wicked.
Oh,
Wicked.
I thought you said Weekend, the guy who did 45 years later.
No.
Oh, no, fuck you. Let's end this
No,
podcast.
and all of us strangers. Okay, I know, this is a bit of a controversial one, but to be fair, it's like when I moved to the States, the first musical that I watched, it was Wicked. And I loved it. And there was like a bit of a build up to it. I knew about it, I knew the story. And I knew some of the songs, and I was like, "Oh, it's super crazy that someone like used the Wizard of Oz, and he created like this firmly rooted gay story, about acceptance of who you are."
Wait, do they imply that they're lesbians, or it's just overall?
No,
it's okay to be different.
Yeah,
it gets better.
Okay. Exactly that. So it's like, hey, these are very standard gay themes that we have to go through, when we are growing up, and even like this society is telling us that maybe we were not out of the, like clouds yet. But I thought that the adaptation, like the actresses that they pick for this, I was shocked about seeing Ariana Grande. That is like when they announced it, it's like, holy shit, this is going to be such a train wreck. And she was. It wasn't. It's this her comedy, like timing is incredibly good. It's like, it's true that at the end of the day, it's like this is editing and all of that, but it's like she is like surprisingly decent as an actress. That I thought that it's like, like the singing, whatever, it's like they pick her because of the singing, but it's like, no, she is decent as an actress. And Cynthia Erivo is like, I think that she does like an amazing Elphaba. It's hard to detach this from oh crap, now I cannot think the name of
The Wizard of the original Broadway performers.
Idina
Menzel.
Crap. Idina Menzel. Yeah, sorry. I'm also right.
Come on, man. I don't even like musicals.
Sorry. It's like I just like completely... but it's surprisingly decent. The same thing like with Ariana Grande and Christina... crap, sorry. And like just like my brain is like completely...
Cynthia Erivo?
No. No, like the original cast of Wicked. Like... what's her name? Like the one that
super
does
famous
like,
tiny little blonde gal
that
everyone loves. Yes, I know. Yes. I know her, and I like her a lot. I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Kristen Chenoweth.
Yes,
Kristen
that's the
Chenoweth.
one. That's the one.
Yeah. That I love her too. And it's like super iconic. But it's that they did an amazing.
She got famous on Glee, right?
Christina Chenoweth. What? She was in Glee.
Yeah, that's how I became exposed to her, but I'm not a Broadway person, so it was just a joke.
There was like this show, I don't know if I remember, with this show called Pushing Daisies.
Yeah. She was in that too. Yeah, she was the nosy neighbor or something. Oh, she was in love with
Lee Pace.
With Lee Pace, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like the first time that I met both of them, like Christina Chenoweth, that it was like, oh, she's super funny. And Lee Pace is like, oh, okay, he's not my type, but this guy is super dreamy. This is like the Australian.
So dreamy.
No, because it was dreamy. Yeah, it's like Ewan McGregor kind of. You guys are not my type, but you guys are too charming.
Well, honestly, I can't comment on Wicked. I'm not much one for musicals. You've introduced me to some that I like, and of course the classics like Singing in the Rain I've grown to appreciate, but I didn't see the original Broadway. I haven't seen the actual musical, the stage production, and I haven't seen the film. But by all accounts, it's really, really good. So I'm not convinced I will watch it. Maybe on a plane. I'll watch it. Yep.
I think that what I was going to say is still, I find like a bit of a critique for this one. I think that there is like a lot of love putting it, but is the result of this age that we are living on. It's fine to just do everything by CGI. So it's one of these movies that everything feels like super plasticky, and you can say like, all of this was green screen, and you guys I put it after, And then when they have like some stuff that they have to add a bit more detail, and they put it there, it feels very cardboardy. So the artistic direction is a bit iffy. But still, after waiting for so many years, because when I was living in Spain, it's like, hey, I'm never going to be watching this musical. I hope that they do a freaking movie because it's so popular. That is that at the end, after watching it several times, on the stage, I'm happy that this has turned. For all of those gay kids that they don't live in the States and they don't have the chance of going to watch Wicked, the musical, now they have the chance of watching Wicked, the musical, the movie.
Well, honestly, that makes me happy. Again, it's not my thing, but the fact that it exists and makes so many young gay men happy, because I don't think this movie makes lesbians that happy, but gay men makes them very happy.
Oh, yes.
But nothing will ever make lesbians happy, so it's fine.
It speaks to our DNA. And if I think that it's going to survive the passage of time, I'm sorry, I'm going to say yes, because of all of the time that we have been waiting for like this adaptation.
And also, I wouldn't dare to say, especially not having seen it, that this will be as important as The Wizard of Oz. But The Wizard of Oz, at least in American culture, it's sewn into the fabric of our culture. It doesn't matter if you like musicals. It's just like a cornerstone of culture. So I can totally see this being a second and important chapter into that, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, cool. So this was my fourth one. What was your fourth pick?
This one really blew me away, but it's true. Kinds of Kindness.
Oh, okay.
And honestly, I was going to pick Pretty Things, but I think Poor Things. I think we saw that on December 30th of 2023.
Yes.
And it came out in 2023, but it's fine. I didn't like Kinds of Kindness. I actually felt like it was a little boring in several parts. On the other hand, what the fuck was that? Like, it's just out of its mind, just like Yorgos Lanthimos. Like, I don't care. Even if I'm bored, I want to be in that world. So this film did not work for me. But again, if someone's like, tell me what's super interesting about 2024, I'd be like, go see Kinds of Kindness. Complain about it later, but you should see this.
Yeah, I'm super happy that you pick it up. I debated if picking it up or not because I had the feeling that I liked it a bit more than you.
You did, I remember.
Yes. But at the end, when I was putting like this list together, I was thinking about like entertainment. And it's like, this one was 3 hours. And one of the stories was fucking terrible.
It was really, It requires patience. I'm not saying that you're just going to go in and love this film, but like you won't forget it for sure. Oh, and to this day, so Spotify, when you're best friends with someone, Spotify will make a playlist of the two of your tastes. And so I have a playlist with my best friend, and there's like that song by Cobra, Brand New Bitch, which is so connected with that film. It came on yesterday on that playlist, and I was like, I listen to the song almost every day to think about that movie. So obviously it was impactful in some way. So no apologies. Kinds of Kindness. Yorgos Lanthimos from the win. Just bought a shooting script of The Lobster so that I could settle like a 5-year-old argument with me and you about how the film ends.
That's... Sorry. And yes, I also have the book that you gifted me about Kind of Kindness. I still have to open it because I've been like super busy this week. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But Even when Yorgos Lanthimos is not at his best, he's still better than everyone else. So,
oh, I agree. And I think that having a new Yorgos Lanthimos movie after Poor Things, only like 7 months after Poor Things, I thought that it was like a gift. So I'm super excited to see what he does with Jesse Plemons on his next movie.
Me too. I can't wait. I'm a Yorgos fanboy now, like literally a fanboy.
Nice. Do you think that it could survive the passage of time?
No. This was a blip in cinema history. It's too boring to really stand out, in my opinion, to stand the test of time. But in this moment of 2024, it was a welcome distraction from the shit show of the world. And
Yep. One thing that I would call out, I appreciate how bold it is and the trust that he has from the studios, that he can approach them with like, hey, I could have done 3 different movies, but fuck it. He's like, why don't I do like a single movie that is 3 stories that don't have anything to do with each other, and I'm going to reuse the actors, like doing different roles. I feel like that's pretty bold. Like
nobody trusts directors to do that. To like trust that will make money, because it got a wide release. Like that's crazy. That film got a wide release, and it should not have. I'm going to be honest.
Yep. I mean, this is the director that he became famous in the States 15 years ago with Dogtooth.
Yep. It was Dogtooth where he made a big splash.
Yeah. Let's repeat Dogtooth. It's a bit of an insane career that he had, but it speaks up to the talent that he has.
Agreed. And the more I think about it, the more I think you're right. The Favorite is kind of the pinnacle of. We will never forget The Favorite. The Lobster's still my favorite, but The Favorite's a better film. And
Yeah. So I'm super happy that we live in a world that has Yorgos Lanthimos in it.
Me too.
So I'm also like a fanboy of Yorgos Lanthimos. So I will watch whatever crap he puts up next, even if it's Alps 2.
Ooh, there's a limit to my love, but onward.
Okay, so my last one of favorite of 2025 is Anora.
That is absolutely my final pick.
Okay, I knew that we were going to be like picking this one. I knew that we were going to be like.
It's actually the first film I wrote down making these lists. Yep. I was like, "Yep, Anora. Anora's the one."
Yep.
So go ahead, tell me, why did you pick Anora?
When we're talking about like Yorgos Lanthimos like being so bold into doing like these 3 movies stuck together, that's what Anora is too. It's 3 different. It's like a triptych of movies. It's like 3 different nights where he actually experiments with different genres on each one of them. That I feel is like, this is bold from hey, you are building this script in this crazy way that you're going to have like this rom-com on the first act, then you're going to have like this sunny, crazy story on the second act that it almost feels like a dark comedy, and then just having like this drama, pure unfiltered drama in the third act. That I feel is like, hey, you are assured, you are like completely bold in what you're doing. You know where you want to take this.
That's what blows my mind, is because I think probably a lot of directors could have proposed something that crazy, but very few directors could pull it off. And with these tone and mood shifts every about 50 minutes, it's just like it makes total sense and it doesn't make sense, and it's weird. I feel like this is overused, but I did not expect to feel like this when I saw Anora. I felt hit by a freight train. The film was so like powerful and self-assured that I was like, what the fuck did I just experience? And that Mikey, I can't remember her
Madison.
Madison. Whatever her name is. I don't know why she hasn't won every award this year, because she was she followed the tone shifts so remarkably well. Like the spectrum of her talents that we saw was just incredible. Yep. Everything about this film blew me away. Fantastic.
Yeah. And the other thing that we have discussed we didn't record about Tangerine. I rewatched it this year. But one thing that I love about Sean Baker is that the stories, I mean, I didn't like the Florida Project that much, but it's like he's super heartfelt. It feels humane on the stuff that he's doing. There is like some kind of, I don't know exactly what it is, that is like I feel closer like to these characters in a bit more of okay, even when they're a bit more exaggerated, like the Russian mob, the Russian family is I still connect with them. Is that he tries to keep like some human traces like of them, like when we see like the baptism and the guy like just trapped there about like you fuckers, what is going on? Is that you still feel like, oh, this is a human being. So I love how he actually writes the character.
Do you think that's the result of? Well, you just answered the question. It's the writing, right? It's character development.
Yes.
They may be exaggerated, but he took time to, in whatever little way, develop each one of those characters, and it made me care about every single scene because I was like, I may not like this billionaire Russian kid douchebag, but I get it. His dad ruined him. Like,
yep. Or like the how do you say, like the hitman that goes with them that at the end stays with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the house, is like, dude, it gives like such a human coat of paint on top of things that I love it. You know, I think that is like he's probably one of the best directors for doing that out there. Because Yorgos Lanthimos doesn't do it, and he doesn't fucking care about that.
No, there's like this clinical wall. It's almost like Michael Haneke in a way. It's like you're just going to watch this as if you're a scientist observing mice.
Yep.
But not Anora. Like... You're going to fall in love with this mouse and this mouse and this mouse.
Yeah.
I will say that I can't speak for your list, but on all of my lists, I would argue that Anora is one, if not, for me, the best film of 24. It's absolutely one of the top best films of 2024, where the rest are just favorites.
Yep. Yeah, I would say like Lucky Mirror also could be like, hey, if I had to do like an objective list, I think that I would put Lucky Mirror there. But it sounds a bit pretentious. You know, this one is not. Is that that's what I love. Is that, hey, I can say that this is an amazing masterpiece, but it's not pretentious because it tries to be human at the same time. But it's fucking bold when you start like looking a bit deeper into it, and you try to pull it apart. Like all of the pieces that it puts in there is like, it's not pretentious.
Yeah,
but it's super
like
well made.
It's weird to describe Anora this way, but there's like an earnestness to it. Like it's, hey, this is just authentic. It's
but they're like,
but I don't know.
It's
why.
all like, well, because it's the script. It's pretty well written. It's like it actually like this. I don't think that it's toying. I don't think that it's manipulative. It's like this is not some scandal or disclaimer. It's a bit more of a, hey, I'm going to be like giving you like the background of these characters to make you feel like real people. He has like this style on the writing that I believe it. Similar to Tangerine, that is like, hey, I care. All of these characters, they're all fucking terrible, and they're going to be like self-destructive, but I care about them.
Yep, agreed. I'm so happy that we agreed on our final film. Not that we disagreed, but we both picked Anora and saved it till last.
Yeah, that was the only one that I knew for sure that is like, this is going to be on the list when I started writing it down.
I will say that I accidentally saw your list, not the whole thing, but I saw that we both picked Conclave, and I looked away immediately and I was like, did we pick the same 5 films? We did not, but Anora we both agree on.
Yeah, cool. Do you think that it will survive the passage of time?
I do. Well, for one, it won the Palme d'Or. Almost all of those films survive because people go back and they're like, what won in this year? What won of this year? But I do think it's important enough that it's, people will keep watching this. It's not like Uncle Boonmee who can recall his past lives, which won in like 2007. I think nobody goes back to watch that film.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, you told me about it. I always have it on my list of, it won. I love the title.
And have you seen it?
A couple of trailers.
Why not?
No, I haven't.
Yep, but you watched
told me that it's not good.
No, it's good. It's boring. It's boring.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Yep.
Fair. But yeah, I think that this was it. This was like 5 from each one of us.
Yep.
It was. What would you say if you had to score the year? We watched like a lot of new movies that we don't tend to do that. It's like as we actually rebranded our podcast into just trying to be a bit more on top of what is being released, we watch more movies, or at least I did, than other years in the cinema.
If I had on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 7.5.
Okay, 7.5. Yeah, I will go with the same score. I think that it was a fairly decent year. Is that you tend to use like these, how do you say, like test of, is it better than everything else that is on the cinema? And there were a couple of times that I say like, oh, there is something else that is also interesting on the cinema. So that's I never had like the point of
There were very few. Well, there was always something interesting to see in theaters, and I'm making a distinction between streaming and going to an actual movie theater.
Yeah. Cool. And I think that this was it for our first part of looking back at 2024.
Join us for part 2, where we just review the favorite things that we saw in 2024, regardless of when it came out.
Yeah. And if you are listening to us in any platform, please just leave a like or 5 stars or whatever the system allows you.
What did they say? Smash that like button. Smash that follow button. That's what they say.
Exactly. Yeah. And subscribe so you can be up to speed with all of the things that you have to watch. Thank you so much for putting up with us. And see you next time.
And see you next time.
Bye.